Hello everyone, my name is Giselle, my pronouns are they, them, and I am here for the last 2.5 weeks of progress that I have for my stitching. I did film about a week and a half ago and I didn't like the video, so I didn't upload it, and I need to stop being so critical of what I say and what I do and just upload it anyway, because I'm sure you'd rather have a video than not. And that's also why I'm just gonna hold up the tablet again today to show you the pictures and stuff, because again, I'm sure you'd rather have a video than not, and I just don't really like editing, so we're just gonna go with this and see how it goes. Anyway, before I show you my stitching, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who has commented, liked, and subscribed my videos. Well, subscribe to my channel, you know what I mean. It truly means so much to me. I am completely floored. I don't understand. I feel very overwhelmed in a good way. Thank you so much. I don't understand how I'm already at 250 subscribers. Thank you so much, and every single person who has commented, thank you so much. I read them right away. I'm sorry I'm not good at responding right away. I like to respond on the computer rather than on my phone, so I wait till the time that I can get on the computer and then I respond to a bunch of them at once. So bear with me, but I promise I'll get back to all of you. But again, just thank you so much. It means a lot to me, and I really appreciate the support. I'm feeling very loved and welcomed in the community already. Okay, anyway, with all that being said, let's jump into my updates. So I haven't been stitching as much the last couple weeks as I have the last few weeks before that. I've just been very busy with the move and being very overwhelmed by everything that I need to get done, and I'm not really allowing myself to stitch until I complete other things first. So until I feel like I've done enough for that day, I don't allow myself to stitch. So I'm really only stitching like maybe an hour every night. And yeah, that's how it's been going. So the first project that I have here is Contessa with Squid. Let me pull that up. This one is a Heaven and Earth Designs piece. The artist is Omar, Rayyan. It is discontinued. Here we go. So this is what the art looks like. I love it so much. I think it's just so glorious. And I'm working up in this corner. And then the last time that I worked on it, so I kind of have two pictures here, I guess, that sorry, I keep going to the, it's not letting me, oh, there we go. I was on select and it wasn't letting me put the images large. So initially I was working down in the bottom here. So this is what the bottom bit looked like. So filling in the black and stuff, and filling in, taking some of the part strings that I have in this little bobbies is what it's called, and working those in. And then I also ended up moving up to the top, and I have this of what it looked like in the top before, which moved, please zoom in, there we go. So this is what the top looked like before. Sorry, this is a little chaotic because I ended up moving the Q-snap so that I could work on both those sections at once. And this is what it is looking like right now. So I ended up moving up here and filling in a lot of this, and then I've also been filling in this and, like I said, working on some of my parked threads. I think I did a good amount down here. And I'm just trying to flip back and forth between a strand of black and a strand of color to make it more engaging for myself. And I don't know if I have anything else to say, but the coverage in photos is not as good as it looks in person. In person is more what it looks like right here, versus in photos it shows a lot of the white through for some reason, but it looks super dense and beautiful like this in person, and I'm really, really loving it, and I think this tentacle is gorgeous. So there we are. For this one, I worked on it for 2 hours and 23 minutes, which was 6.91% of my stitching time, and I ended up doing 949 stitches, and I moved from 3.15% to 3.41%. So I'm approaching 3.5%, and it's just a wonderful piece. I really love Omar Rayyan's artwork. Okay, my next piece is Home in the Mountains. This is from Golden Kite, and the artist is Jerry Vanderselt. I think that's everything I need to say about that. Okay, and then as far as what it looks like, let's see if I can find it. Perfect. And here's the mock-up. Ooh, which is really blown out. Let me see if I can turn the brightness down a little bit on this. There we go. Super, super beautiful. Obviously Rivendell, and I've been working up in this corner. If I'm working in half stitch, I prefer to stitch the top right corner, and if I'm working in full cross, I prefer to start in the top left corner, which is why all these half stitch projects I start in the top right. Okay, so then as far as where I was last week with it, or last update with it, I guess I should say, I was right here, and I was working on, oh, I'm so clumsy with this. I've been filling in over here, and a little bit up here, I think, but I'm mostly just trying to pick the symbols and move over. So there we are, because I'm trying to fill in the page and work across in the pages. And here it is right now. And I think it is looking really good. This is the bottom of the page, so I have the first page actually is completely done, and I'm working on totally filling in the second page right here. They're obviously not page 1 and 2 like in the actual pattern, but the first page that I've completed, I guess I should say. Anyway, there it is, and I think next time I work on this, I should be able to finish up the next page. It's just basically these stitches right here should get it pretty much done. Pretty soon I want to move the Q-snap so I can start working on the threads over here that I've been parked in for a while. And so, but I want to make sure that none of the colors here go down here, because I don't want to like leave parked threads. I don't want to have any parked threads. I just want to work across in the pages and be done. And for this one, I ended up working on it for 2 hours and 24 minutes, so a minute longer than Contessa with Squid. It was 6.93% of my stitching time, and I did 793 stitches. So it is a slower project for me than Contessa with Squid. I can stitch faster with Contessa with Squid, because I stitched for the same amount of time, and I did 150 stitches less? I don't know. I can't do quick math. But the exciting thing with this piece this week this update, is that I went from 2.79% to 3.04%. So I hit the 3% mark with this, and I'm really, really thrilled with that. I'm so excited. And again, I say this every time, but I really enjoy stitching with blended threads. It's just very fun for me for some reason. And I think especially because I normally do a loop start, which cuts my thread in half. But if I'm stitching with a blended thread, I'm just using the full length for both of them, so I get double the amount of stitches. So I just take that thread and I just run with it for like several hundred stitches, so it feels like I'm getting a lot done with just one strand of thread, because I'm getting twice as much done. Anyway, my next piece that I worked on is my Pokemon Rainbow, but that's not what it's actually called. I need to change it in here to the correct name. I don't know, Pokemon, on here in the PDF it says Pokemon Gen 1 color spectrum symbol only. I will leave a link to the Reddit post that I downloaded this from, but it is a great pattern. There we go. So I just started up in the middle top center, and then have been working on those first few Pokemon, and I really like it. It is a lot of stitches, more than the other Gen 1 Pokemon one that is really popular, but I think this one is really just aesthetic and pretty, and I like the color selection on this one. I don't really like the color selection on the other one. Anyway, so this one I have done a good amount since last time. I'm really proud of how this is looking since the last time I saw it, or since the last time you saw it. I set it down and then I kind of dreaded picking it up for over a month because I had to do some recharting, because I did not like how, if you zoom in up here, I did not like how Seeking's eye is being cut off by Moltres' wing. Comes up, cuts off Seeking's face. I don't like how it looks, so I was like, I'll just have to rechart it, and I didn't want to rechart it, so I finally buckled down, made myself rechart it, and I'm really proud of how it looks and what progress I got done. So this is what it looked like the last time you saw it. Essentially, I did a few stitches and then I realized I hadn't taken a picture, so then I took a picture, and this is what it, roughly what it looked like. So Jinx is the yellow hair, and then Seeking, and then the big eyes are Parasex eyes. And this is what it looks like now. Ah! My first Pokemon is almost complete. So Seeking is almost done, and they have a full eye now instead of being cut off. So if you do decide to do this pattern and you want my charting, I can give it to you. It's a little bit janky, but if you want it, let me know. Anyway, I ended up doing 836 stitches on that, roughly. It's kind of hard to tell for like the bits, because I wasn't filling in like stitch for stitch. I was like going off of a different pattern and not this one, and then I kind of went in and like roughly marked, so it's roughly how many I did. And I ended up working on it for 3 hours, which was 8.82% of my stitching time. And I went from 6.63% to 1.08%, so I hit the 1% mark. And I think it's interesting that with 150 Pokemon, or 151 Pokemon, that 1% is not even one full Pokemon completed. So that is interesting. But I'm not quite done with Seeking. I need to finish the horn, I need to finish the fin over here, and then this part will be Parasect's little mushroom bit, so that won't be filled in. But I don't mind that being cut off by Parasect, but it was just like the whole eye I thought was unnecessary. Anyway, I'm proud of how much I got done on that. Okay, my next project. If you are married to me, would you please look in the description box and click the timestamp and skip to that timestamp so that you don't get spoiled on something that you're not allowed to see. Thank you so much. So if you're married to me and you're still here, we're gonna have strong words. Okay, so the next project that I worked on is something that you haven't seen before, but I actually started a while ago. It is my 14th oldest whip, and I started on the 29th of May 2023. So this is, oh, and I forgot to say with the Pokemon color thing, I didn't put in here, dang it, I didn't put in here who the creator was, but they also have an Etsy store. Even though that pattern is free on Reddit. So I will leave linked below their Etsy store and that pattern that you can download for free on Reddit. Okay, anyway, back to this one. So this pattern is from Country Magic Stitch. by Country Magic Stitch is like the full name, I believe. And this is Arabor, or Welcome to Arabor. And this is something that I'm stitching for my spouse. So this, they have seen me stitching it. But since I'm only up in the top half, he has no idea what it is. So eventually he'll see it and figure out what it is. But for now, it is a secret of like what pattern it is. But I own a lot of these patterns. I didn't pull them up, unfortunately. That's not something I thought about till just now. I do have some on my phone, I'm certain, but I have a lot of these. I have like I have several of like the Chronicles of Narnia one. I have like pretty much every Lord of the Rings one. I have the Totoro one. I have, oh gosh, what else do I have? I don't know. I have so many of these and I really like them. And I was thinking about it and I was like, if I don't stitch on these consistently, I'm never gonna get any of them finished. And I would like to finish at like one a year, at least. That would be good. Which means I need to do like 500 stitches a week, just about, because they're like 22,000 stitches. Here, I'm trying to find it. Yeah, so some of the other ones I have is I have the Visit Isengard one. Ooh, let me turn my brightness down. That was really bright. So I have Visit Isengard by Country Magic Stitch. I also have Visit Mordor, which I love. I really want to stitch that one soon. I also have Visit the Shire. And I thought I had the Totoro. Oh yeah, there we go. And Visit, oh, I don't want to butcher that, but it's the Totoro one. Oh, look at him. Look how cute he is. So I would like to do at least one of these every year. And even with that, I'm not going to finish it for like 20 years because I literally have so many of these. I have a ton of the Star Wars ones. I probably have like 5 or 6 of the Star Wars ones. So I need to get on them. And I've been letting this languish. I had only worked on it for one day before in 2023. And I was like, I need to work on these if I want to get them done. And I would like this to be a Christmas present for my significant other. So I am going to focus on it more. Anyway, so here we are, back to Visit Arabor. And I think he will really love this. They're so great. So here is what it looked like roughly when I started working on it. This little bit of blue in the center, or lighter, it's not blue, but the little bit of lighter color right here was new. And then I was like, oh, I should take a picture. So then I took a picture at this point. But that was new. And then all the rest of it is what I had done last year. And this is what it's looking like now. I did a shit ton on this, and I'm really, really happy with how much I did. I don't know, I wanted to make good progress, and with how like distracted I've been by packing, and also since the last time I saw you, I finished work at one of my part-time jobs, so that was kind of an emotional thing, and stuff, and I don't know, there's just been a lot going on, but it means I've also picked up some extra hours at my other part-time job, and there's just been a lot, so I just wanted to, it's just been nice to have something very mindless, and that's what this has been. Like, I haven't had to pay attention to like counting, but for the most part it's just like back and forth, big blocks of this beautiful teal color. And I do think it's very funny that my two of my current Lord of the Rings pieces look basically the same. Anyway, I am glad that I finally started the mountain. That was the last thing that I stitched on, and there is this is white that's filled in. There's some white filled in right here. So you can't really see those stitches, but they are there. This is white right here that's filled in. So I don't know how well you can see that, but there is some white in there that isn't very visible. But I am glad that the mountain is started. And I got this one from 7.43% to 17.98%. So I did like 10% of it, and I'm very happy about that. And I worked on it for 5 hours and 11 minutes, which was 15% of my stitching time. So I think, I mean, I'm almost at 20%. I think I'll be able to get this finished by the end of the year with no problem. And I mean, that's the width of it. It's quite tiny. I mean, it's the width of my face. Like, it's not a massive full coverage. Each one of these is 22,500 stitches. And so I think there's something that I can get done every year. And that's like a pretty reasonable goal. Anyway, the next project is the Lady of Shalot. Welcome back, my sweet dear husband. So the next project is the Lady of Shalot, and this is a project that I ended up working on. Let's see, I ended up working on it for 6 hours and 2 minutes, which was 17.44% of my stitching time. I think you all know what this looks like at this point. But here she is. So incredibly beautiful. I love it so much. And this is one of my absolute favorite projects to stitch on. It is just so, it's just such a vibe. Okay, and as far as where I was the last time you saw it, I was right here. Sorry, just a screenshot from my last one. My lovely face in it. Let's zoom that in. So here it was. So I was mostly focusing around her head. So there's a lot more black around her head now. And then also all these long strings down here, I focused and I stitched in pretty much every parked thread that I had. So I am really glad with how far I got in this. Bam. Look at that beauty. And I'm really glad. Okay, so yeah, all these long dangly threads are all pretty much parked in. There's maybe a couple that need to go still, but for the most part, they're all done. And right now, I just want to finish this section all the way over to the edge. And then I need to figure out what I'm going to do about this frame, because pretty soon there is some over here that is already stitched, that is over in the edge here, and then down here I need to get access to stitch, and I need to either put it in a bigger frame or just choose a section to stitch on or something. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do with that, but for now I'm very much enjoying how much progress I got done on it. It's wonderful. And I ended up doing 1,226 stitches. And I moved from 41.02% to 42.81%. Ugh, it's so good. I love it so much. Although I do need to pick up my pace with it. Because I should have done more stitches. But I've been a really weird funk. Okay. Oh, and that's pretty much my only full coverage piece that is confetti. So if it's not confetti piece, if it's like big blocks of color, I will kit them up on cards. So like the last project I showed you, this is the floss card for it. Not gonna say the name because you know who is back. But this is the only project that has confetti that I've kitted up just because I like to travel with it. It's a really good travel piece for me. So here it is. Normally I must have been stitching with like 310 or something because this first one is unwrapped, but I'll typically just wrap them up and then each one is wrapped up, and there's all my floss cards all nice and neat. And then whenever I get low on one, I'll just like refill it. Every other full coverage piece that I'm working on comes from my master set. Okay, and then finally, not finally, I have 2 more pieces. Okay, so I have one new start, which I had told you about in my last video, and that is Templar Prophecy. Let's see, do I have, yeah, here it is. So here's Templar Prophecy. Absolutely stunning, and I'm not doing this side border or this top border. I'm planning on just doing a 2-stitch border around the outside like the other 2 sides have. Whoops. So there we go. And I started up with this dragon wing and then continued out. So here's where I was, or here's what it looks like. It was a new start, so there was no before picture. And then here is how much I've done in the... I stitched on it for 7 hours exactly, which was 20.25% of my stitching time. There we are. Ah, isn't it magnificent? I really love it. It's so good. And for this one, I ended up stitching 1,375 stitches. I'm going to try to do 1,250 stitches every month, because that's what I need to do to get it done by leap year, or leap day, the next leap day in 4 years. And this is my leap day start for the long dog leap day SAL. So many hard words. Anyway, so there it is, and I really love it. These butterflies are in the wrong spot, but it is what it is. And I was so careful and paranoid with my counting, but everything has lined up so far, so I'm just very conscious of what Crafty Emily has said about mistakes compounding upon each other, and I don't want that to happen. I'm sure it will eventually, but for now, I'm being careful. Not that I won't be careful in the future, but you know, mistakes will happen, and you'll either frog them or fudge them, but I will probably fudge them. And that is on a 40 count even weave. I don't remember, or not even weave, 40 count linen. I don't remember which one. And then it's a Silk Soryou floss in the color PR011. It's a really beautiful color. I still haven't figured out how to wrangle it, so I've just been cutting off little bits and then stitching with it and then cutting off another little bit. And then finally, my last stitch is Astrology Cat. This is by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artist is Ciro Marchetti. That is the correct way to pronounce it, in case you were curious about my pronunciation. I did look up how to pronounce it, and this one I stitched on for 8 hours and 31 minutes. It was 24.83% of my stitching time, and I moved from 19.34% to 23.51%. And I'm at 14,249 stitches, and this is where it is at. So I didn't show you. that was a big fail. I don't have a mock-up right now. I didn't put it on this for some reason. I don't have a mock-up of what it looks like, but this is what it looked like last time. Oh my god. Oh, I'm failing right now. Okay, so this is what it looked like last time. So I worked a lot in the cat and then in the black, and I finished the arch. Yeah, I didn't have the arch finish. I finished the arch and I cut off like all these threads around the side. And now this is what it looks like. Woo! Okay. So I made a lot of progress on this. And it has come a far way. I mean, I'm almost 25% of the way through it, so that is good. But I have some thoughts that I want to share. So my camera's about to time out, so I'm going to restart that, and then I'm going to share my thoughts about the whole HAED situation right now. Okay, so if you didn't know, so for this, oh my god, such a mess. Okay, so if you didn't know, for the HAED SAL, you paid and bought, it was like $10. You bought, like, you had an option of 10 and you chose one, and then you stitch that. If you complete 4 pages, you end up getting the other 9 charts, and then if you finish the entirety of the HAED SAL by the end of this year, you're only given 3 pages every, or you only get like a section of it every 3 months. So it's not like you can just stitch the whole thing at the beginning of the year. It's being doled out. So the next section we get at the beginning of April. Anyway, so if you end up finishing the entirety of the thing, you end up getting 2 free Heaven and Earth Designs charts. At this point, so basically HAED suddenly dropped a ton of their artists, saying it was because they weren't working with their licensing group anymore, the people who licensed those artists, but they're still working with a lot of other artists who are also under that licensing group. So that story doesn't really make sense to me, but I don't know, what do I know? But one of the artists was not even from that licensing group to my knowledge, but they were dropped. The artists themselves has said that it was very sudden for themselves. They didn't know, and suddenly HAED was just saying that they were going to not chart their stuff anymore. And that artist was Sheena Pike, which was one of the artists that had one of the 10 pieces originally. So now if you aren't going to, so now if you were to stitch the 4 pages, you wouldn't get that chart. Instead, HAED is giving an, in my opinion, really horrible AI chart. I personally don't support AI art. It's not something that my morals align with. And so, but also other people pointed out just like some flaws in it and weird stuff, because AI just does weird things sometimes. It doesn't understand the difference between, I don't know, just like the way things blend together and stuff. I'm trying to think. I think it was Stitching Addicted was one of the ones who was commenting about that. So I can leave her video linked below. But I don't know, I was already not feeling great about the fact that they're just like substituting an AI chart. But then I've just been hearing other things about artists just being treated very poorly by the company and by the owner. And then also, I don't feel like they're being respected by how much AI artwork charts are being pumped out by the company, when there's so many other charts by artists that HAED has licensed, who they're just choosing not to chart the pieces by the actual artists that HAED is already paying the money to chart pieces from. They're choosing not to actually make those charts. Instead, they're just doing a bunch of AI art, which just feels very icky to me. I don't like that, and I feel like it is unkind to the artist when a lot of these artists are saying that they've been sending HAED their pieces for years and years and years, and nothing fresh is getting charted by them, and then they're just seeing stuff from AI getting charted instead. And then if you want to learn more about like AI art and some of the opinions about that, I'm also going to leave a video by Crafty Gamey Jamie. She did a video recently about her opinions on AI art, and I really agreed with pretty much everything she said. And then if you want more a video about what is AI art and maybe some of the issues with that, let's see, I should have had the name, Darling Bluebell. She had a really informative video almost a year ago about AI art, which I really appreciated her making. So I'll leave both of those linked below as well. If you just want to learn more about it, if you don't understand, if you haven't heard people talking about it, I think it's good just to learn and see what people are saying. Anyway, so I don't like that HAED has been doing that. And then also in the HAED Facebook group, they have decided to ban any conversation of AI art, and anybody who talks about AI will be banned from the Facebook group. Just trying to silence anything about AI, even though they are actively using it. So I feel like it's a very relevant conversation. And that also just feels really icky to me. I mean, I totally understand it's their Facebook group. They can do whatever they want. It is their prerogative. But I already don't like the HAED Facebook group anyway. And this was kind of just like a last straw. And just like all these things compounding and just finding out about like other things from HAED's past that I didn't know about, like the 08 and 09 floss numbers, that they were like incorrectly charted in like hundreds of charts, and people kept asking HAED about it, and they just kept telling them to trust the process, and just like all these things. I don't know, I just feel like it's not a company I want to support anymore. There are so many other companies that I'd rather support with my money and my thousands of hours of time that I will be putting into these charts, that I'm not going to financially support HAED anymore. So it kind of leads me to the thing now of like, do I want to finish stitching this chart? I mean, I'd probably finish it either way, but is it something that I want to rush to finish by the end of the year to get 2 free charts from HAED? Or do I kind of just want to cut my losses and just not get anything else from the company at this point? And I'm kind of uncertain. So, I mean, we're not quite a third of the way through the year. We're not quite a fourth of the way through the year. I'm not quite a fourth of the way through the chart. So I am on pace for this, but it is something that I would have to like actively keep stitching on every single week, doing over 100 stitches every day, like 150 plus stitches every day to keep on track with this. Do I want to do that for the rest of the year? I still have 46,000 stitches left on this piece. Do I want to stitch 46,000 more stitches on this piece this year to try to get 2 free charts from a company that I think is kind of shitty? I don't know. I'm not certain, and I'm feeling very conflicted about it. So that's kind of where I'm at, in case you were wondering where I was at on this whole situation. But yeah, I've just been feeling it's something I've been thinking about a lot the last few weeks. And I already have a bunch of other different HAED charts. I think the first HAED chart that I did purchase was, I don't know, probably around April or May of a year ago. So I've purchased quite a few things in last year, but not like a huge amount. So I definitely have enough to stitch a lifetime's worth. And like I said, there's just other companies I'd rather support. I talked about last week Thread Geeks. I really love Unconventional X Stitch. I want to get more of their pieces. I really, really love. I want to try some other companies as well that I haven't tried yet. So I don't know. That's kind of how I'm feeling. And it's not just the use of AI, because I could also just not purchase the AI charts, which is what I was doing anyway. And some of the other companies that I really love do have some AI, or that I'm interested in, say like with Artisy. I'm interested in buying a few of their charts, and they do have some AI charts, but they're very explicit about what is AI and stuff, and I appreciate that. HAED was super shady and super just not transparent about AI, and then is like very defensive about it and stuff. And I don't like how they're handling it. So it's not just the AI, it's how they're handling the usage of it. So anyway, that's kind of how I am feeling and thinking, and I'm kind of just at my last straw, and I'm thinking that I may just put this piece back into my normal stash and work on it occasionally and just like focus more on other pieces that are bringing me more joy, because I also just don't think this chart is charted very well. There's just like a lot of like random pinks up here that just stick out to me really sorely, that when I'm like looking at it, I'm like, why is there a random pink right there? And it just like feels very weird, and there's a lot of like little confetti bits and stuff, and I'm just not loving stitching on it as well. Like, it's fine, but it's not bringing me a ton of joy. So I'm kind of leaning towards just cutting my losses with it, maybe finishing it in the next couple years, but not worrying about getting the free charts, either the 8 extra ones now that the 9th one is from AI and I have no interest in that, or the 2 free charts from the HAED site. I don't know. I'm just so done with that company. And there's like another company that I also no longer want to financially support, which is Golden Kite, because they also are being really dodgy about their use of AI. They are just pumping out tons and tons and tons of AI charts with a real human name on it, which is the owner of the company, and then not disclosing that it's AI art at all, even though it very obviously is. And I don't know, I think I'm done with them as well. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling, is that if you, as a company, if you are going to be using AI art, that I just need transparency and honesty about it. I hope that all makes sense. Anyway, so I would love your thoughts on the situation, the conversation. I just know a lot of us have been having these thoughts recently. I've had some conversations with some of you about this, and I appreciate when people in the stitching community are speaking up about it, because it's also helped me just like form my own, not necessarily forming my opinions, but helping me, like, I knew what my opinions were, but like helping form my stance of like where I feel about where I want to be putting my money and stuff. Something I do want to say though, and I know again, Crafty Gaming Jamie has mentioned this several times, but a lot of the artists that HAED suddenly dropped have been picked up by other companies. Oh, Pain Free Crafts, that's another one. They are one of the company that picked up several artists, but they're another company that I really want to stitch some art from, and I have a couple of their charts, and I really want to stitch them, and there's a lot of charts that I also want to start. I really want to buy some Christopher Dunn pieces. I believe that's his name. Anyway, so that's another company that I really like. But they picked up some, and then Thread Geeks also were able to license some of the artists and stuff. So some of these artists that HAED suddenly dropped are going to other charting companies, and charting companies who I think are better charting companies, whose charts are smaller but still have an incredible amount of detail, and who I think are still just really, really gorgeous pieces. And I think a lot of the charting from HAED has just been really bad recently. A lot of it has just been very ugly. So that is something else that has been making me not want to buy a lot of their charts recently, is just that I don't think they're very well charted. So when these other companies, a lot of them, I just think that they're better done a lot of the time. So I think that's everything I wanted to say. As far as haul, I don't have any haul, but when I left my job, and I gave a lot of notice. I gave like 4 weeks notice or something, so I was there for a very long time when everybody knew I was leaving. But then on my last day, my coworkers gave me a $50 gift card to Joann's because they know that I'm a big cross stitcher, and I haven't used any of it yet, but I'm definitely going to be using it to buy floss. So that's something that if you see me buying a large amount of floss in the next few months, it was from my coworkers from my old job. So, and if some of you are watching, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That was very kind. And then the other thing, I didn't say, I bought this a while ago. I bought it the same time as I bought, I think, the fabric that I was showing you in my very first Flosstube video, but I never showed it because this was a tiny little package and I forgot. But I figured I would show it and just give my review really quickly. So I ended up buying the Easy Guide ball tip needles from Sullivan's in a 28. And if you've never seen a ball tip needle, basically it just has like a little ball on the end and it's supposed to help you stitch, I don't know, just like get in better to maybe some smaller holes. So it came with 2 needles and it was $9, so $4.50 a needle. But I was thinking like, oh, maybe this will be, I mean, and I'm normally a cheap needle person. Like I will spend $5 on 50 needles. That's the kind of needle person I am. But I was like, I was really struggling with my HAED SAL a couple months ago with just how tight and dense it was. So I wanted to try these. I stitched on it for literally a day and a half with this, and the needle popped in half, like it snapped in half. My $4.50 needle. I don't know where the other needle is right now. I think it might be, is it right here? Yes, here's the other needle. I don't even know if you'll be able to see how, what it looks like. Oh, come on. Yeah, it's not really focusing. No, it doesn't want to focus. But it has a little ball on the end. So I have the other one, but I haven't used it that much. I've been using it on, like my 40 count Verdal piece 1/1 half stitch. And that's been a little bit better, but it snapped in half. So my review of these $9 needles, these $4.50 needles, is trash. Because it broke. And I've never broken another needle. Like I said, I buy really cheap needles that are just, that are super cheap. I've never snapped a needle in half before. I've bent them eventually when I've like used them a ton or like broken the eye of the needle or whatever, but, and I've gone through a good amount of needles, but not that many. Like it usually, for even with these cheap needles, it normally takes me many stitching hours before they end up breaking or tarnishing enough that I'm like, okay, I'm done with this needle. The fact that this broke, this silver coated stainless steel nickel free needle broke in, oh, and it has a picture of the ball tip right there, in like maybe less than 5 hours of stitching, astounds me, and I was horrified by that. Worst purchase of the year. So I figured I would share that because I've heard people say how much they love them, but I mean, like I said, it's not like I guess I was holding it too tightly, but I've never broken another needle like that ever. And I've stitched for, I don't know, I did like 600 hours of stitching last year. I've done like over 200 stitching hours this year, I think, so far, or close to that. Like I've stitched a lot the last couple years, and I'm astounded by that. I will stick to the cheap needles. If it means that they're not going to break in a couple hours, wild to me. Anyway, I think that's the rest of everything I had to say. because this is a very long video. I think the only other thing that I was wanting to talk about, maybe, and I guess I'll just throw it in here, is that I feel, so I'm at 51 whips, and I feel like I don't really want to go over 52, because I feel like a whip a week, you know? If I have more that I can work on within a year, giving each one at least a day and a week, then that's maybe too many for me. So, I mean, there's a couple that I'm definitely going to be finishing in the next few weeks. There's probably like 3 that I'll get finished by the end of next month is my goal, that are pretty close to the end. So I know that will go down a little bit, but it is something that I'm thinking about, that I'm being conscious about, is that I've started Templar Prophecy, but I don't know if I really want to start anything else. Like, there are pieces that I want to start. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of pieces that I really want to start. But I am thinking about how many starts I already have and not wanting to start too many things and then feel like I just want to get rid of them or whip down or UFO things or whatever because there's too many. I do want to be conscious of that. So it is something I'm thinking about, and I thought I would just throw it out there because I like sharing my thoughts. Anyway, okay, for real this time. I believe that's everything. Again, thank you all so much for your support. I would love to hear any of your thoughts on AI art or the situation with HAED and how they're behaving or any of that. I truly mean that. I'm willing to have a conversation. I don't want to just hear people backing me up. I want to hear people's thoughts either way. And I appreciate you for being here today. I know there's a lot of Flosstube and other things to watch, so you giving me your time means a lot to me. Okay, I think that's everything. I will see you hopefully in another week and won't leave it for a super long time. Okay, I will see you soon. Bye everyone.